great city of San Antonio, the Alamo fight that was fought right here was a battle against slavery. That's what the battle of Alamo was all about. Right. It was about abolishing slavery. Right. Because they abolished slavery in Mexico, and we're so close to the border that they were in fear of Mexicans abolishing slavery even here for black people. So they didn't want that. So they commissioned the so-called, what do they call those white people? The gang of Boone and the settlers. They took these settlers, and the settlers commissioned Negroes, which were called the Buffalo Soldiers, right, by the Native Indians, to come and fight here at the Alamo. And all the way down the border, all the way damn near to El Paso. Right. We have not forgotten those things. We didn't forget the real truth about the Battle of the Alamo. We didn't forget the transatlantic slave trade. We didn't forget the Spanish Inquisition. We didn't forget those things. We didn't forget what they did to the Incas and the Mayans and the Aztecs, who today would be considered the so-called Mexicans. We didn't forget those things. And we're coming out here because God didn't forget, and we're going to teach and let every ear hear, because there's a day coming for justice. That's right. There's a day that's coming for justice. Right. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. That's right. That's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible says. And we're just here to do our job. And don't think for 1 second that this is personal. You're not Jacob, you're Esau. That's right. And he's going to have mercy on Jacob.
So you probably think you love black people because you love Tyrone. But the real fact of the matter is, you really hate us. Do you believe that Christ is the king? And do you believe that when he returns, he's going to destroy this place? You don't believe it? Okay, well, I'm gonna show it to you.
You think that you can talk your way into the kingdom of heaven. It's not gonna work, man. It's not gonna work, man. Let's see what Christ has to say, man. Now, you call me crazy, well, come over here, son of God. This is what Christ said.
That's why Christ had to come and put you in chains. And we are gonna beat the hell out of you for it, because you don't have no remorse.
He was a man born like me and you from the ghetto of Nazareth. Now we can't say there's no excuse for us to be perfect. Right. Because we are born of a man from the ghetto. Right. That's how it helped us.
We're going to rule well on the earth. On the earth. Guess what? We're not going to some pie in the sky.
That's right.
You're not going to die and go underground. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You will be on the bottom of society, and you are going to be in the bottom of society until there are no more of you. That's how God is going to fix the earth.
All we really out here talking about is justice. Everybody understands justice, right? When Dylan Storm Roof went in that church and shot up those black folks, was anybody mad that he got thrown in jail? He could have been shot and killed that day. We would have not cared, because he deserved it.
Right.
So anything you talking about, look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Nobody cried or got bad when Jeffrey Dahmer had to pay for his crimes. He got killed in the prison system, murdered in the prison system, unalived. Sorry, excuse my language. He got unalived in the prison system. Right. Nobody complained and said, oh, he didn't deserve that. He didn't know. Nobody said that. So why now, when we talk about the crimes that the oppressor committed against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we're a hate group? Why now, when we talk about the crimes that they committed against the Native Indians, against Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians, even to this day, they're still on reservations. This ground that we're standing on is a burial site. Right. Where it's 50% of Native Indian and Mexican bones beneath this ground. But they built a tourist attraction on top of it. Right. And somehow, when we talk about those things, we're a hate group. This ain't about skin color. This ain't about skin color. This is about crimes that we talking about right now. Martin Luther King said it better. You don't judge a man by what? His skin. You judge him by what? The content of his character.
That's right.
We're not up here being racist. We're up here angry. We're mourning. That's what we're doing. We're mourning the deaths, the murders, you understand? All of the atrocities, the crimes, the sins of our oppressors against God's chosen people.
That's right.
And the Lord said he hasn't forgotten. So why do we have to forget? Right. Why do we have to put slavery in the past? Why do we have to put all of the things that you've done to us in the past? Why don't you put 9/11 in the past? Why do we have to remember 9/11 every year? Why do we have to remember? Hey, Pat, what's that scripture in Ezekiel? He pulled out in Ezekiel that General pulled up today that we listened to. Why do we have to forget about our atrocities, but you don't forget about 9/11? Do you forget about the Holocaust? That's a great example. Because not only do we remember the Holocaust, but guess what? People are still being put into jail today for the Holocaust. Today, till this day, they're being put in prison for the Holocaust. And that was what? How many years ago? Almost 100 years ago.
Almost
100 years ago. They get justice. Nobody says, oh, forgive those Germans. That was 100 years ago. Just let them live. Hey, they're 90 years old. They're 100 years old. Leave them alone. They're taking those 100-year-old men and women and putting them in jail because for justice sake. For justice sake. So don't tell us we're a hate group. Don't tell us that we're some kind of radical organization. No, we're victims. That's what we are. We're victims of a society that has been designed to destroy blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And we are here. The men that the Lord said, I will set watchmen over the people to warn the people. And that's what we're doing.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
That's right.
That's what makes us different from the general population of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We're just the watchmen. We're coming out here to tell our people the truth so that they can be free from the destruction. Free and be delivered from the hands of the evil man.
Right.
Who is our oppressor.
Right.
Go ahead and read what you got.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, verse 16. By the multitude of thy merchandise.
By the multitude of thy merchandise, right? We think about the merchandise. What do we see? What are we thinking about? We're thinking about the economics, the world trade, the business, right? Go ahead.
They have filled the midst of thee with violence.
They have filled the what?
The midst of thee with violence.
Everything that's happening in these places, the crimes, has to do with money. New York, for example, is one of the richest states in it's the world. That's why they flew the planes into the World Trade Center.
Right.
Because there's so much money being made in New York, and they effing over so many people that the people at the bottom are oppressed, and they fighting back. The people at the bottom are fighting because they know it's so much money out here, but we're making crumbs. They got trillions of dollars that's being made in New York, and but there's still people living on top of each other in the streets, in the ghettos.
Right.
They got trillions of dollars that they making. They sending money to Ukraine,
Right.
for God's sake.
Right.
Billions of dollars they sending to Ukraine. But for some reason, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are living at the bottom in America. That's why the crime is happening. The crime is not because of what's happening in the streets. The crime is the crimes that's happening in those boardrooms. That's the crime. That's where the crimes are happening, in those boardrooms. Way up there on the 56th floor. In the World Trade Center. In the Sears Tower. That's where the real crimes are happening at. Go ahead and read.
And thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God.
And that's what's going to happen. Those people that are at the top, that are collecting all this money, trillions of dollars off your oppression, raising your minimum wage, then at the same time raising your rent, raising the cost of eggs and bacon, those people are going to be brought down. Go ahead and read.
And I will destroy thee, O covering cherub,
Go ahead.
from the midst of the stones of fire.
That's what's going to happen, man. We're not up here talking about something that we feel off of like some type of personal vendetta or skin color. We're talking about a real, the Bible says we battle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities, and evil and wickedness in high places. This is what we're battling out here. We're not battling skin color. The things that we're talking to you about is the things that the Most High sees and has not forgotten. There are people that are oppressing God's chosen people just like Pharaoh did. There are people that's oppressing God's chosen people just like they did during the Greek Empire, during the Roman Empire, under Antiochus. These are the things that's happening right now in America under Joe Biden and all of the kings of the earth. Joe Biden, Vladimir Putin, Zelensky, Kim Jong-un, all of them are the kings of the earth, and they're all confederate against the children of Israel.
Right.
They're confederate against us, and that's why the Lord is going to destroy them and bring them down. That's why those planes were flew into the Twin Towers, because there's crime that's happening above, and it's causing the poor, who are just happen to be blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, to have to be the way we are, to look at things the way we look at it. That's why the Bible says oppression makes a wise man mad.
That's right.
You looking at us
Right.
because we're angry and calling us a hate group, but do you ever think that maybe we're angry because we're oppressed? Do you think maybe we're angry because crimes have been committed against us? Our children are dying. We don't have access to good food sources, to good water sources. We can't even own our own land. We got grandpas and grandmas on Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians families whose lands are being intruded on. Their land that have been passed down for generations, and they're running highways through their land, running pipelines through their land, just taking it over and just not even caring, coming up offering millions of dollars, and we're denying it because we know there's real wealth in land than there is in money. But you think that they care that we denied the money? That we didn't want to take the offer? No, they're gonna build what they're gonna build on your bones, on your grave, on your descendants' land, everywhere that you own that means something to you. They're just gonna build on it anyway, just like they did right here in the great city of San Antonio. Great city of San Antonio. The Alamo fight that was fought right here was a battle against slavery. That's what the battle of Alamo was all about. It was about abolishing slavery. Because they abolished slavery in Mexico, and we're so close to the border that they were in fear of Mexicans abolishing slavery even here for black people. So they didn't want that. So they commissioned the so-called, what do they call those white people? Like Daniel Boone and the settlers. They took these settlers, and the settlers commissioned Negroes, which were called the Buffalo Soldiers, right, by the Native Indians, to come and fight here at the Alamo. And all the way down the border, all the way damn near to El Paso. Because they didn't want slavery to be abolished here in the States. That's what the Battle of the Alamo was all about. So when we come out here after hundreds of years of murder and slag being unalive, right? Hundreds of years of not only being overturned and our land being taken and oppressed, to come out here and say we have not forgotten. We have not forgotten those things. We didn't forget the real truth about the Battle of the Alamo. We didn't forget the transatlantic slave trade. We didn't forget the Spanish Inquisition. We didn't forget those things. We didn't forget what they did to the Incas and the Mayans and the Aztecs, who today would be considered the so-called Mexicans. We didn't forget those things. And we're coming out here because God didn't forget, and we're going to teach and let every ear hear, because there's a day coming for justice.
That's right.
There's a day that's coming for justice.
Right.
Don't hand join in hand. The wicked shall not go unpunished.
That's right.
That's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible says. And we're just here to do our job. And don't think for 1 second that this is personal. It's not. This is you. If something happened to your father, you will want justice for your father.
Right.
Something happened to your granny, you will want justice for your granny. You will want to see your perpetrators paid. Well, guess what? Nobody paid for the transatlantic slave trade. Andrew Jackson, he lived a long, healthy life.
Right.
He smoked cigarettes, whatever he did, enjoyed his life. And so did Bill, what is his name? Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
He so-called freed slaves and all that other garbage. He was around here taking what? Slave teeth or something like that.
No,
right?
that's
George Washington taking slave teeth and putting them in his own mouth, taking slave skins and making boots and furniture out of them.
Damn.
Living a glorious, delicious life off of our suffering.
That is right.
And nobody ever paid. Nobody ever paid. Look at right now what's happening at the border with our Hispanic brothers.
Right.
They coming out of Central and South America because they've been oppressed so much in those countries. By who? By the same person that's oppressing us right here in America.
That's right.
They're trying to come over here thinking they're going to get a better life, but we're here to tell them, no, we've been migrating even in here. We've been migrating from the south to the north, trying to avoid the same oppression that you think you coming here to avoid.
Right.
And that's all we're doing right now. We're telling you we have not forgotten those things. Like I said, the Native Indians are on reservations right now. And they say they pump about 42 million bottles of liquor into the reservations.
Right. Damn.
Literally. You want to know why? Because that's how it all started. They were giving the Native Indians liquor in turn for, their services, their teachings, their utensils, their land, their belongings, their fixtures. They took liquor, they drunk it, thinking that we were friends. And then what happened is, all we ended up with 42 million bottles of liquor, and they ended up with the whole earth.
Damn.
They ended up with the earth, we ended up with 42 million bottles of liquor.
Right.
And now they're drunk on the reservations out of their mind because their history has been cut off. Their culture has been cut off. They've been cut off. They took our forefathers, cut their scalps off, took the scalps off their head, castrated them, and made it to where they wouldn't pass down oral traditions. The things that we needed to be able to be better people. They say blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are super thugs. They call us criminals, and gangsters, and thugs, and rapists, and gangbangers. That's what they call us. They want to build a wall, keep us out, and put more police in our neighborhoods. Well, you know what'll make us better? If you let us have our culture back. That's right. If you let us serve our God, give us our God back.
That's right.
Give us our God back. You're not the real Jews, we're the real Jews.
Right.
Right.
You're not the real chosen people of God, we are.
Right.
The Bible ain't your book, that's our book.
That's right.
You give us that back and we won't be criminals. We won't be super thugs and we won't be no cartels killing and shooting up each other.
That's right.
Crips and Bloods. We won't be that anymore. But you took that from us. That's why the Bible says, I know them who call themselves Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Because those people stole our identity.